going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back. Check out that bridge and check out that fog. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, hit that like, subscribe button down below. And you got any topic suggestions? Let me know. Check that bridge out. That's the famous Golden Gate Bridge. We're heading into the city. Anyway, so today's topic is, check out the city. I'm moving the camera out. Look at that dark fog. Anyways, being from San Francisco, California, right? And with the whole nonsense of politics happening, the political climate happening right now, we're gonna talk about something that you guys might not know. So back in high school, right, this is a long time ago, I attended the video topic is radical leftism, right? I attended a high school that was pretty much a breeding ground for radical leftists. And at the time I didn't know it, right? But now that I look back, it was a breeding ground for radical leftists, and I'm pretty sure the school still produces radical leftist students. And this is a public high school, right? In San Francisco. And I don't have a problem talking about this because I'm not a radical leftist, right? Or I'm not a leftist in general. I just stay away from politics. But this school is definitely a breeding ground for radical leftism. How do I know this? Because, you know, transitioning from middle school into high school, right? I went to a decent middle school, right? Just like any other middle school, you know, you have your basic curriculum, you know, reading, writing, reading comprehension, you know, mathematics, the basic, I guess, educational fundamentals for a school, right? Then when I went to high school, right, I don't know if I want to mention it. I'll mention it, fuck it, right? So, no, I probably won't. I probably shouldn't do that because the school's still around. But, so, check out the city, y'all. That fog almost looks like we're in a movie. You can see the pyramid. You can see the Salesforce Tower right there. The biggest building you see, that's the Salesforce Tower. Anyway, so when I was in middle school, you know, we were accustomed to wearing uniforms. You know, white collared shirt, black jeans, or just, you know, we're all in uniform. And once I transitioned into this high school, it was like a total 180, where a few of my friends that were in middle school, we ended up going to this high school, right? Friends that I grew up with, and elementary school and middle school, we ended up coming to this school, and it was a big shock, right? Because not all high schools operated like this high school. And I know this for a fact because we were also surrounded by other high schools, right? And that were ran differently, if that makes sense. And one of the things that stuck out, at least to us as kids, you know, the fucking and my friends and I, we come from conservative households, right? Not necessarily like a conservative politics, right? So we come from nuclear families. We came you know, we're with certain values. And keep in mind, I'll mention this again, we didn't know this, right? But now that we look back, that's when we start realizing this, right? And back to the school, right? So we grew up conservative, right? In a conservative household. A lot of my friends that I grew up with, and one of the things that stood out to us that we honestly, off the dribble, we thought it was weird, right? Was the stupid gauges and the hair. What these liberals do, they'll cut their fucking hair. The bitches will shave their heads. They'll fucking or they'll shave half their fucking head and dye the other half a different color. And to us, you know, we come from nuclear family homes. That shit was weird. We're like, what the fuck? We would go visit the other high schools where our other friends would go, and it'd be like, y'all got some weird motherfuckers up in your school? And other schools, you know, didn't really necessarily have this, you know. And most schools were pretty much like the stereotypical, you know, on the movies, you know, like on the movies where you have your jocks, your Mexicans, your blacks, the whites, the fucking nerds, the punk rockers, you know, the schools have self-segregation, right? Or just you know, have the losers, or just the people who are just friends. This school was different, right? Where it was everyone was a fucking weirdo, right? Where this is where I first was introduced into self-mutilation, right? Where motherfuckers cut themselves. They'll do gauges, and you know, as a high school student, you're like, what the fuck? Where does all this come from? Right? Where does this all stem from? Like, how did you guys manage to get a whole bunch of weirdos lumped up together in the same high school, right? And what makes this school different, right? I'm gonna mention it, right? It was a school of the arts in the city, right? And this school is an art school, right? And pretty much, I believe so, right? That was like a main attractor to bringing these people in, right? And pretty much brainwashing them into radical leftism. I remember, you know, teachers trying to convince us on politics and the evil white man and the races, are trying to how do you call what's that word they use, systemic racism, that they're trying to hold us back, and all this fucking bullshit nonsense. And personally, I don't know if it's true, if it's not true, if it's systemic racism. And at this point, you know, I really don't give a fuck. You know, let's say it is true. What am I supposed to fucking do about it, right? And that was the whole what the whole school was about, was being a victim. Look at how oppressed we are. Look at how unfair. And we're gonna do self-mutilation because we're special. It's just so much weird shit, right? And then you throw a bunch of regular people into a school like that. I'm surprised that I didn't come out to be I guess like a radical leftist. And I would have to say a big thanks to my father, because, you know, I remember coming home and having these conversations with my father, like, or I'll go to work with him and tell him, oh yeah, the fucking, the teachers were telling this at school and this and that, and they're trying to convince us that the fucking this, the white man and this, and my father always resorted to judging someone right if they're lazy or if they're just a hard worker. And 9 times out of 10, these people who majority of the times, right, these radical leftists are lazy people, and they believe the world owes them something, and that's why they're victimized, or for whatever excuse that they use, is they have an excuse for their laziness, which is my point. And my father understood that, right? And he eventually, I ended up getting kicked out that school, or just I ended up not attending that school anymore, just because it was fucking weird. Honestly, it was weird. All my friends ended up not only except for one who ended up graduating from that campus. But my point is that do schools radicalize people? Of course they do. Of course they do. I've seen a first-hand experience. I've attended to this high school. I've seen these people, and these people are radical. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you guys how fucking radical these motherfuckers are. When I was in high school, some fucking kid, this is how radical they are, right? He was arrested because somebody had reported that, so next to our school, there was like a farm, right? I know it sounds weird. A farm next to a school in San Francisco. Yup, that's true. There was a farm, and the kid ended up, I guess, killing a goat or something at the farm. And I guess the owner of the farm, had surveillance, reported to the school, and these motherfuckers were doing rituals with the fucking, I guess with the goat. They searched his locker, and the motherfucker had a hit list. Never saw the motherfucker again. I couldn't remember what's his name, but my point is that I saw a lot of radical shit there at that school. Now that I'm bringing this fucking moron up, who else? What else? What else kind of crazy shit did I see? A lot of overt sexualization, if that makes sense. When you go to high school, you dress a certain way, or just you're a kid. You go to school, you have to dress appropriate, right? And when I went to this school, it was just so I guess over sexualization of just how students carry themselves. And I would have to blame this on the teachers, because in their opinion is, well, you gotta express yourself and be liberal, and it's an art school, right? So there's this and that, and I'm just like, what? To me, that's crazy, that they allow, especially with the girls, right? Allowing them to dress in a certain way where it just exposes a lot of, they expose themselves a lot out there. And as a kid, you're thinking like, hell yeah, But looking back, it's like, damn, a lot of these teachers are perverts. I can guarantee you that shit. These motherfuckers, especially these radical leftist schools, they really out here. They're really out here brainwashing people. This is 100% true. This isn't, and they don't hide it. That's another one. They don't hide it. And these motherfuckers are so brainwashed to the point where you'll have the students they convince the students to go protest, and I remember as a kid they would try to convince us to, oh, you guys have to participate in the we're gonna go march, we're gonna do this. Honestly, we had better shit to do as students. We had or just as kids, we would rather go play, we would rather go do other things and go protest. But the one common denominator in all this is that it was and I call them victims. The victims, the students that were brainwashed into believing whatever believing the Kool-Aid, right? They all come from broken families. They don't come from nuclear families like I was explaining about my situation earlier, where I grew up with a father, mother, someone who respected themselves as a family unit. Nah, these motherfuckers come from broken families, and they use that purposely to brainwash these kids into becoming radical leftists. I really believe that, and I've been a witness to all of that, if that makes any sense. Anyways, that's enough for today's video. We're heading into the city. This channel's not about politics, but politics is something that plays a big role in San Francisco, and we're definitely going to be talking about it, right? And it's definitely something that really is, it's a little dangerous, right? How a school like this actually existed, and I guess I'm living proof. I was never radicalized, right? Thank God, but this shit never sat with me. Maybe because I come from a family unit, from a stable home. Anyways, that's it. We're approaching the Tenderloin right now. Peep it out. It's ugly out here. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.